Greetings once again, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ethan,
And I'm Bryan.
and welcome to our Falcon and the Winter Soldier Episode 3 Review and Synopsis podcast. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Before we begin, we'd like to ask you to subscribe to our channel so you can keep up to date with all of our Falcon and the Winter Soldier Review and Synopsis podcasts. And we want to make sure that you are watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well, streaming exclusively on Disney Plus before you come listen to our podcast, because we're going to be discussing some spoiler-heavy content within this video. So make sure you go watch Falcon and Winter Soldier streaming exclusively on Disney Plus before listening to our podcast, especially now, because Episode 3 is the halfway point of the series. Yeah, it's kind of crazy already that we're here. Like, we keep just saying that this is going to be split up into 6 parts, but I guess we didn't realize how soon 6 parts would be.
Honestly.
Yeah, so yeah, please make sure to do that before subscribing to our channel. Or you can click subscribe to our channel right now anyway, so you don't forget about us. Alrighty then. So, with that said, with this episode, we're going to go again scene by scene, because in this episode, we primarily stick with our main cast of Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then there are some brief, like, side plots that don't really have any significance within the episode itself, centering around the villains and the rival characters. I think, like, consider U.S. Agent like a rival character, not necessarily an enemy right now, right?
Right now, he's definitely more of a rival. However, I do think they are setting him up to be a villain, especially with the way he acts in this episode.
Coolio. So let's just get down to the episode analysis right then. Just start from there, because we actually do start up with the scene of U.S. Agent and Battlestar.
Yes, we do.
So
All right.
like how this episode opens. It's like a commercial, you know.
Yeah, it's a commercial for the GRC, which stands for Global
Repatriation Council. I don't know. I don't know what the hell repatriation means. I think that's a made up word.
I think it is too. I think what I think they're like trying to do is they're trying to be like, hey, we can help you, and then you go to them and they're like, I'm sorry, we can't help you.
Right. I think that's the thing. This GRC is basically another alphabet agency bureaucracy, the administrative state. You know, they run our lives, gang. Did I say that
Exactly.
out loud? But yeah, I think we briefly discussed this in the previous episode. Like, the GRC is basically like the government safety nets, like the whole world established basically after to like for the safety net of the people that got blipped for the 5 years in between. Infinity War and Endgame. So
They're the ones that set up like not all, but some refugee camps. They have some set up, but for the most part,
it's kind of complicated, and I'm not sure if it's just our the viewers' weak understanding of government politics, or if it's just not very well explained within the episodes themselves. I'm not sure about which one it could be.
I'm not either. So
yeah. So let's just go with it, and let's just say that this alphabet agency is not very good at their job, and that's why they're being targeted by the flag smashers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we start with the commercial, and then immediately we see a GRC armored truck show up.
Such a mood swing, given how the commercial's so joyous. The CDC, the GRC is so truthful and will never lie to us, gang. Never. It's the government. They would never lie to us.
Exactly.
And
immediately after,
and then mood swing, big armored heavy truck with U.S. Agent and Battlestar marching out of it along with a SWAT team.
Basically.
So what happens in this scene, Bryan?
So in this scene, they go to the refugee camp that Carly and her group of flag smashers went to in the last episode before they went on the plane and escaped with all their vaccines and stuff. And as mentioned, we see U.S. Agent and Battlestar leading this group of a GRC, basically SWAT team. group, and they just barge right in, kick down the door into this like,
Yeah, I think it's a
room
refugee.
filled with like electronic boards.
Yeah, it's a little refugee camp. I'm assuming, based in Munich, Germany.
Well, it's the same one that Carly went to in the last episode.
Yeah, that's right. That's why they're there in the first place, right?
Is because U.S. Agent and Battlestar are trying to track down Carly and her group of Flag Smashers.
Right.
And like bring them in for justice. And Battlestar and U.S. Agent, they get in there and they go up to like the man in charge. And U.S. Agent is like just angry and is like, "Where the hell's Carly?" He starts speaking to him in German. So then he's like, "Battlestar, come translate." And it's all like, where's Carly? And he's like, "I don't know who that is." And U.S. Agent's like, "That's bullshit. Tell me where the hell she is." And he doesn't. Instead, he spits on U.S. Agent. So U.S. Agent, again, this is John Walker. This is supposed to be our new Captain America. Now, tell me, after I describe what happens, tell me if you think this is something that Captain America would do. He then just, like, body slams this man into, like, a cabinet and is like, "Listen here, sir. I am Captain America. You're going to tell me where the hell these people went." Now, tell me, do you think that that's a very Captain America thing to do?
No, and I'm glad that you're talking about this, because that thought did cross my mind while that scene was playing. It's like, what if this were a Steve Rogers Captain America and he decided to do this? Given that Steve Rogers and John Walker are supposedly supposed to be the same character within the context of the universe. Obviously, it's not. But like within the context of the universe, this is something that, you know, Captain America would it is certainly out of character for a Captain America.
Yeah. So he like pretty much body slams this man into a cabinet. Guy still isn't talking, so he's just like, screw it. Battlestar talks him down, things like that, and they basically just like leave. That's the scene.
Yeah, that's basically it. I think like the biggest relevance of that scene was to show like the difference between Steve Rogers and John Walker, and how this Captain America, in quotes, is not a very faithful interpretation, as you might say.
Yes. And we will be getting into that in a later scene. At least I will.
Already then.
So anyways, we then cut
cut to like the other side of Germany. I'm not sure where these two cities are at.
I think they're close-ish.
Close-ish, because like remember, like there's like East Germany, West Germany until the Berlin Wall fell. So I'm curious about that now. So you can go ahead and describe what's happening here.
So anyways, in the next scene, we see Sam and Bucky go to the prison that they said they were going to go to in the last episode to find Zemo. And so they go to the prison that Zemo's being held at. And Bucky and Sam are still discussing whether or not it's a good idea to talk to him, if he's even going to help them, things like that. And before they enter the cell, Bucky tells Sam to wait outside because, you know, he's an Avenger. Zemo doesn't like him. And so Bucky just goes in alone to talk to Zemo. And the first thing that Zemo says to him when he enters is he speaks in German, and he starts saying the Winter Soldier's trigger words.
Yeah, which is something I thought it was going to be something that he would do. Last episode, I predicted, what if he just starts saying the words in the book, and Bucky just goes, "Ah!" but the latter part doesn't happen.
Reaction.
Right.
No. In this, Bucky just stares him straight dead in the face, and Zemo's like, the new you reacts differently. And Zemo starts speaking in English again, and they have this talk of like basically Bucky being like, "Hey, join us," and Zemo's like, "What's in it for me?"
Right. So can we go out of our way right now, since we on the channel we've never covered Civil War, and that was the last time we ever saw Zemo. So who is Baron Zemo in the comics?
Okay, so Baron Zemo in the comics is very different than the Baron Zemo we see in the MCU, obviously, because differences. But one of the main differences is that Zemo's homeworld has been destroyed, and
In the MCU?
in the MCU, his place of home was destroyed during the events of Age of Ultron, so his place has been destroyed, and I'm kind of sad about this because I really wanted to see Zemo Castle.
Castle. Huh.
Yeah, Castle Zemo. Or no, it's Castle. It's Baron Castle. That's what it is because Baron's the name of the family. Yeah, so Baron Zemo comes from a long line of royalty that dates back to wherever, like however far ago. It's a long running family. But during World War II, his like grandfather or great grandfather fought alongside Red Skull. And then that's why his family knows about Hydra. That's why he knows about Hydra. And he just became obsessed with it, as one does. And so, yeah, he just wanted to like continue Hydra's work basically, and they keep some of that in the MCU counterpart. But basically, he just hates the idea of Captain America and super soldiers in general. Which again, like when it comes to the ideals that Baron Zemo has, they keep a lot of those for the movie counterpart. It's just like his backstory that they kind of tweak.
Gotcha. So what I'm hearing, like Zemo in the comics was someone who, like, after Hydra fell, like I'm assuming like Hydra fell when World War II ended in the comics, right?
It's similar to how Hydra fell in the movies, where after World War II they kind of like went off the radar, but infiltrated Shield.
Gotcha.
In the meantime. Those are similar. But Hydra just did what it could to after Red Skull was killed and everything. They just like tried their best to like be like, okay, let's infiltrate governments, and then maybe we can get Hydra back at some point.
Okay, and then
Zemo that was kind of the.
And then Zemo in the comics is just trying to finish like the original Hydra's work or something like that. Is that what I'm hearing?
Kind of basically like tearing down symbols and icons.
Gotcha.
Is kind of what he does. Which he, again, that's an ideal that he shares in the movie in the MCU counterpart, which we will get into in a couple scenes. But yeah, so again, just minor backstory tweaks, but ideals stay mostly the same. So yeah, so after Bucky and Zemo talk for a little bit, we then cut to Sam and Bucky in this dark ass warehouse, looking around, trying to turn on the lights. They eventually turn on the lights, and then Bucky's like, "Okay, can I give you a hypothetical?" Because they were discussing breaking Zemo out of prison, and Sam's against the idea while Bucky's for it because Bucky's like, we need his help. So then Bucky's like, can I give you a hypothetical? And so we then get this funny montage scene of Bucky giving a hypothetical how they would break him out, how they would break Zemo out of prison. And as he's describing how they would do it, we see Zemo breaking out of prison.
Right, yeah. I love how they presented that. That was hilarious.
I did too. Like when I saw this, I was like, where's Zemo? Like how they gonna get him out of here?
How are they going to
this scene?
And then they show it actually happening. Oh, so wait a minute. It already happened now, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that kind of cinematography. When they direct that kind of cinematography, you can obviously tell like whatever the quote hypothetical the character is describing, it's already happened.
Yeah. So we see Zemo break out of prison by basically how they did it is because of they exploited protocols that are set in place of the prison, using also some of Zemo's wit that he has already. And so they had this awesome escape plan of how to break him out of prison. He impersonates a security guard so that he's able to get past security cameras and things like that without being noticed. And then he eventually meets them in the warehouse, and Sam's like, what the hell? So then they have this little like three-way conversation with Bucky and Sam talking, Zemo trying to interrupt every once in a while and then just shutting him down. Which I thought that type of banter is just so funny to me.
Yeah, they in this episode at least they kind of take like a weird direction with Zemo. Like even after like he was the big like intimidating. I'm not sure how to describe it in Civil War, but he was a genuine threat in Civil War, and they kind of present him like that. It's like how they directed him here. It's like he's sort of like the comic relief character, but he's in like the character's not trying to be comic relief, if that makes any sense.
He's in this show, the way that I see him is that like, while yes, he's funny, he's a smart kind of funny. Where like he's smart to know about things. Like he's obviously smart because he had to be smart in order to, one, break out of prison, and two, be able to turn the Avengers on themselves. So like he obviously has some smarts, but in this I just see it as like, because of his smarts it turns into comedy.
Right, and then also later in the episode, they like also present him as like a badass and also a smart person and also a comic relief character. It's weird how they did it with him. Yeah,
but to be honest, I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm not saying that it's bad. It's just like it's a very interesting take on the character.
They stopped by Zemo's like car collection garage place, and Zemo picks up some weapons. They get some things. Zemo gets his purple mask from inside one of the cars, and then they go to the plane and they see. So basically, Zemo. The best way I can describe Zemo is take Batman, put him in Germany, and then make him a bad guy.
Huh.
That's basically Zemo.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because he's smart. He obviously knows how to kick some ass when he needs to, and his family's wealthy, with dead parents and a butler that likes him.
And also another thing to tie back to like the destruction of like ideologue symbols or something like that. Like the Batman in the interpretation of like there are multiple superheroes within his universe. Because like he doesn't like the false god idol of Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He keeps track of all their weaknesses just in case they decide to turn on them.
Exactly. Anyways.
Yes. So they meet Baron Zemo's butler, chauffeur, whoever he may be. They obviously have a really good relationship. And they get on the plane. And while they're on the plane, they just discuss while they're on their way to, what's the name of the city? It's a weird name.
Madripoor.
I couldn't remember if it started with an M or a G.
I'm not sure where exactly in the world Madripoor is located. So let me do that right now.
Well, obviously it's in Europe somewhere.
Europe, like borderline, like Asian, because like I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to say slums, but like some more dank areas that they present in this film.
Well,
there's some Japanese literature.
Madripoor sounds like they just took Madrid and then dropped the D and then added poor to it.
Oh, because that makes sense. Because it's a fictional, it's a fictional island. It's not real.
It's like Madripoor. There we go.
Yeah, like here's the Wikipedia description. The Principality of Madripoor is a fictional island located in Southeast Asia, appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics. So good to know.
Alrighty.
Get your conspiracy theorist hats on, guys. Mostly associated with stories from the X-Men series.
So they're on their way to Madripoor, and while they're on the plane, they just discuss. Zemo got his hands on Bucky's amends list, and he's like, "Who's this man?" And Bucky's like, "You touch this again, you're fucking dead."
Yeah, it was Nakajima, the guy from episode 1.
Yep. And Zemo's like, "Fair." Then they start discussing that like Sam brings up that was the notebook that Steve had when he recommended an album to him back in Winter Soldier. I can't remember the album name. Was it like Trouble Man or something?
I don't know, but I'm remembering that scene now. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Zemo was like, that's a great album that discusses African American culture, and Sam's like, his logic is backwards, but he's right. And so they discuss that. They discuss Marvin Gaye for a little bit. This is more just a comedic scene. Nothing really plot happens.
Yeah, it's more flavor text for building the characters up and the interactions and whatnot.
Which again, character building, always a great thing.
Right.
So after this plane scene, before we actually see them get to Madripoor, we have our first Carly scene. Which, if you don't remember Carly Morgenthau, she is the leader of the Flag Smashers. She's the one with like the curly hair.
Yeah, the red curly. The cute girl bad guy. That's so weird. But it works.
Yeah, her.
Right.
And we see her at another one of the at another like refugee camp that they're at. I believe in like Siberia.
I didn't get the place of this one, but no. They say it right at the end because that's where the crew is going to go. It's Riga, Latvia.
That's what it is. So, anyways, we see Carly playing some soccer, otherwise known as actually where they are, it would be called football, right. But we're American, so soccer. So yeah, they're playing some soccer, and Carly then gets asked to go upstairs, where she sees she walks past some other refugees, and then she goes into this room where she's next to this woman who is dying, and she's like crying over her body and everything like that. It's very, very touching, right. Trying to bring trying to humanize the villains in a way, trying to give us sympathy towards them.
Right. But I guess motivation. I don't know what they're going for. Did they explicitly state, I don't remember this, did they state that this is Carly's mother, or is this just somebody close to her?
They call her Mama. They call her Mama. I don't know exactly though. I don't know if I don't necessarily think that she was her mother, but I think she might have been a motherly figure.
Okay.
And so the reason why they call her Mama is because, she's a motherly figure, so why not? So she's like crying over her body, all sad and stuff. Then we cut back to Sam, Zemo, and Bucky.
Yep. Brief scene.
And
they just place him in there.
They're on this bridge, just walking down it as this car approaches them. And as they're walking down, we see Bucky looking like his Winter Soldier self, with his metal arm exposed in like the tactical vest and everything, looking like he's about to go kill some people. We see Zemo in his mask. And now, while they weren't able to give him his pimp suit, which I'm kind of sad about, we at least get a fur neckline on his jacket. I will accept. And And Sam is in this like colorful suit. He refers to himself as looking like a pimp, but Zemo's like, look, you're American. You're going to call yourself a pimp if you look like that. But everywhere else but America, you look like you're just wearing a colorful suit. The reason why they're like this is because they have to play the characters of who they are, because they can't like get suspicion put on them.
Yeah, they're going undercover in the I don't know if to call them slums, but I guess the streets of Madripoor. It's just like a dank atmosphere that they present.
Basically, Madripoor is set up into two sections. There's the high-rise part and the slums part.
Yeah,
the high-rise part is where all the wealthier people live.
It's over, Anakin. It's over, Anakin. I have the high rise.
Dang it! And the slums is where everyone else goes.
Gotcha.
And Zemo is playing himself. Bucky is playing brainwashed Winter Soldier, and Sam is playing as a African American gangster by the name of Smiling Tiger.
Smiling Tiger, that's correct. Yeah, and they're doing this in the first place so they can. I'm not sure what they're trying to discuss, but they want to talk to this character named Selby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to get a lead on who is producing the super soldier serum.
That's right. Yeah, and so this Selby character has the closest ties. I'm not sure how they came to this conclusion. I think it's just Zemo knows off the back of his hand because
Yeah, basically Zemo's just like, hey, I know things because I am plot convenient.
Exactly. Right.
So the car that we see on the other side of the bridge is coming towards them. It turns around and they get in. They get in and they start driving down. It's a very silent car ride because, you can't discuss things in this car because, you have a driver that's there.
I thought you meant silent is like there's no car sound effects. Because I'm reliving that scene right now. It's just like the smoothest car ride possible with no rough and bumpy, just smooth sailing across, no sound effects, no nothing. It just sounded pure and pristine. Like a hybrid.
And so they go on this car ride. Then they arrive at like the hot spot of the slums of Madripoor, which is this bar.
Yeah.
And they go into this bar. Zemo's there, Winter Soldier's there, and Smiling Tiger, Sam. They're all there, and a whole bunch of a lot of the patrons there, a lot of the other Madripoorians. They're all looking at this group. And you hear some whispers of is that the Winter Soldier? Things like that. Again, Bucky has to play the brainwashed Winter Soldier, which is something he already does, which is just stare.
Right.
So the bartender comes up to the three, looks at the Smiling Tiger, looks at Sam, and is like, usual. And Sam, because he doesn't want to talk too much, because he doesn't want to give it away that he's not the Smiling Tiger, he just gives him a nod. And so the bartender starts getting the usual ready, which is a snake gut shot. When I saw that snake come back, at first they threw me for a curveball because at first I thought he was going to extract some of the snake's venom.
Yeah, or a snake milk. That's what I thought.
Yeah, no, or something like that. That's what I thought it was going to be, but no, he just took out a knife and gutted the thing, and I was like, oh, damn.
Wow. The Smiling Tiger has a exquisite appetite, exotic rather.
Yes, and Sam hesitantly takes the shot. And then they discuss where Selby is, and as soon as Zemo,
hold on, he takes a shot, but he's rising up and down from his lips like a dog. Yeah.
But Zemo then asks the bartender if they can get access to Selby and meet with her. And then as soon as he mentions Selby, we see this hooded figure adjust their hood and walk away.
I wonder why
so
the
then-
cinematography did that. I feel like we're going to interact with this character very soon.
When I first saw this, episode, I thought that was Selby for a second. I'm not gonna lie. For a split second, I was like, "Was that Selby?"
Yeah, we know we find out who it is a bit later on, but yeah, that would have been interesting to see if like Selby was just like a cover version of you know. Anyways, though.
So they talk some more, and then these goons come over to Zemo, and they talk to him, and they're like, "Hey, you're not welcome here." So then Zemo looks at Bucky and is like, "Winter Soldier, attack!" And then we get an awesome Winter Soldier fight scene with Bucky just like basically just like slamming these guys into each other and everything, like using his metal arm, just suplexing them. It's great. Great flipping fight scene.
I just wrote in my notes like, oh, yep, the classic bar fight.
Yep. And then eventually Bucky gets one of the goons by his neck and uses his arm to slam him on the bar countertop. And then that's when like the bartender, I think it is, or someone comes and stops the fight and says, Selby will meet you guys now, but you have to let the guy go. So Bucky lets the guy go, and they go talk to Selby. Selby is in this room. I think it's above the bar.
So somewhere.
I want to say. It's again somewhere within walking distance, and it's up high.
Gotcha.
And they go to talk with Selby. From here, they discuss. Okay, Selby, look. We need info on the secrets on the super soldier serum, how it's being produced, who produced it, and who took it. You know. And she's like, okay, I'll tell you this. You give me something in return. And Zemo's like, I will give you Winter Soldier that you can use for all of your vices. And she's all like, that's the Zemo I remember. Arrogant, but still Zemo.
Right.
And so they learn. I forget. Did they learn who the doctor was from Selby, or did Selby just bring up the power broker?
I think both. I don't know. Yeah, we've kind of. I think we've kind of been skimming over this. I don't really remember when and where they exactly first said it, but there's this character named the Power Broker, and it never appears in the episode, but they keep referring to this Power Broker character throughout the episode. In fact, it's the title of the episode.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. The Power Broker is first discussed in this scene. But the Power Broker is basically the ruler of Madripoor. And the Power Broker is technically there have technically been two people who have carried the mantle of the Power Broker. However, I think the version of the Power Broker that they're going to go with is the first person who carried the mantle, who was basically just some normal guy, who eventually, after getting not experimenting on himself or anything, just through some science accident, because that happens a lot.
Comic books, you gotta love it.
He gets powers. He worked in the comics. He had a different name than what's shown to us in the show. But he works with this doctor who is able to recreate the super soldier serum. And he also runs this company called Power Broker Inc. I don't know if they're going to like show us that part of it. They might, but who knows? However, here's just the main things you need to know about the Power Broker. He runs Madripoor. He has his own company. And two people that have been his clients that have worked with him are now tell me if these names sound familiar. Battlestar and U.S. Agent.
Oh no!
Yes, in the comics, two of his clients were U.S. Agent and Battlestar. So we might get that, honestly. Who knows? Maybe in the next episode or in later on, because I'm sure U.S. Agent and Battlestar are going to somehow track Zemo, Sam, and Bucky back to Madripoor, and they might run into Power Broker. Who knows?
Yeah, like as of right now, this Power Broker character is just a phantom character, and what Bryan's been describing is just like how like the comic book like iteration of this Power Broker, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So okay.
I've been describing the comic book version. For the show, all you need to know is that the Power Broker is some phantom character who runs Madripoor. He's essentially the ruler of this place.
Cool. Yeah.
And it's best not to mess with him.
Yeah, and that we get the first mention of him here.
Yep.
And then we also get a mention of this Dr. Wilfred Nagel.
The reason why they need to go to Dr. Wilfred Nagel is because he's the one that was able to recreate the super soldier serum.
Cool. So yeah, we get those two name drops within this conversation. I don't think there's any more like significance in the conversation than just flavored text.
Yeah. However, they do get found out because Sam's sister.
Yeah, Sam's sister decides to call him in the middle of it, which was that felt cringy. But like that's also what the characters felt at that moment. There's like this is
it's
like
that secondhand embarrassment,
right? Yeah, exactly.
No, when I was watching that scene, I was so tempted to skip through it, but I was like, no, I'm recording an episode on a video on this today. I need to watch it. I didn't miss much. I wouldn't have missed much. All it was like, hey, we need to discuss this, and he's trying to be in character, and so he's like, listen. We will later. And she is like, no, we got to discuss this now. Bank stuff. And he's like, I'll kill the banker if you want me to. And then she has to go and talk to her kids, get out of the Cheerios. Then she's like, Sam, I'll call you right back. And then Sable's like, I mean, not Sable.
Sable? What the hell?
Sorry. It's different S name. What's her name again?
Selby.
Selby. God dang it. I am all over the place. There are just too many S names. So anyways, Selby is like, who's Sam? And then she gets shot by a sniper. We don't figure out who the sniper is. And then Sam and Bucky and Zemo knock out the rest of the guards that are there. And then they make their escape. As they're making their escape, everyone in Madripoor, all their phones go off, and it's like, hey, there's a bounty on these three guys' heads.
Which is a very super scary thing to like think about, because like the information spreads fast. I mean, really, really fast. Does. It's like that just like goes to show how like our society, like the spread of information in our society. I think this is what like they explicitly did it so they can see. It is a very super scary thing. Just like the speed of the internet and just how it can like manage to like I don't know what I'm talking about now, but you know the speed of it is very scary. That's the main part.
Just the speed at which information can get out.
Yeah.
It really is a very scary thing to think about.
I know. Holy fuck.
But anyways, so as they're walking through Madripoor, everyone's phones just are going off all at the same time about this bounty that are on their heads. They eventually make their way into an alley, and that's when they meet that hooded figure from earlier, who turns out to be Sharon Carter. Remember her?
The last time we ever saw Sharon Carter was back in Civil War, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think the last time the last time I recall seeing her was that scene where she was kind of making out with Steve. and then
now looking back at that scene, you're like,
I know, right? And remember also during that scene when Bucky and Sam were in the car together and they just smiled at him. It's like the two of them had this like very distinct smirk on their face to see like, Steve's getting some. That's my boy.
Yeah. And then he doesn't.
Huh?
Has been living in Madripoor ever since she went off the grid because, she was on Cap's side and Cap did illegal stuff.
Right.
And Sharon also isn't a big fan of Zemo. But instead of killing Zemo, Bucky's like, hey, just don't. And she's like, okay, I'll help you. And that's kind of how they stopped her from killing Zemo. They just said, don't.
They just said, and she's like, Sharon, no. No killing.
And she's like, but I wanna. And they're like, no, Sharon. So they go to Sharon's place, which Sharon's place is filled with like a whole bunch of art, very big, very roomy,
and booze.
But it's mostly filled with art. And then they have this funny little moment where they're like, no, you can't have Monet. Like all that stuff is like in museums. Like this stuff has to be fake. And then Zemo and Bucky are like, look it up, okay? A lot of stuff in museums are fake. This is the real stuff. And he looks it up on Google and he's like, shit, you're right. So Sharon decides that she'll help them get to the professor.
She and Sam made a deal because, like, even though Sharon is like constantly saying like I can't go back to America, she still wants to, and so Sam made the deal. It's like he can like ask for like the government or something to like give her a presidential pardon, most likely.
Yeah, basically, they're like, look, he's like, look, I'll get you a pardon if you help us, and she just makes the deal.
Yeah.
Then it cuts to them partying, cause Madripoor parties, my guy.
I left this scene out of my notes. It's very insignificant. It's just I don't know why it's there.
Brilliant. Seeing Zemo dance was very weird.
Yeah, that's pretty much all that happened in it.
I'm saying that right now.
That was such a filler scene.
Party scene. And then it just cuts to them going to the professor, right?
Then we go to like the docks, basically.
Yeah.
Like where all the shipping containers are at.
Mm-hmm. So we go to the docks, shipping containers everywhere. And Sharon tells them that what container the professor's in, but you gotta hurry, we're on borrowed time because like every bounty hunter in Madripoor is coming to kill them. So Sam, Bucky, Zemo go into the container that she told them to go into, but at first they don't see anything. Zemo then is not rubbing, but like touching the sides of the container, feeling around for like something. Then he gets to the back of the container and he feels like a hidden door. So he opens it and they go up into this like upstairs compartment into some of the other containers.
Yeah, I'm surprised like no like container cranes have just lifted his lab out from the sky.
Right. I feel like they have like a map of like where his containers are so that they know where not to go. I just imagine like a newbie on his first day doesn't even pay attention to the map. Just
right. What are these 5 containers doing out here on the side? And then they just rip open the lab.
You just see the professor down there like, hey, bring it back.
That's hilarious.
So they go up into some of the other containers where we see the professor's lab, and they see Dr. Nagel, and they interrogate him basically.
Cool. I think now is when we can describe his backstory.
Yes. So Dr. Wilfred Nagel. He is formally from the United States, but so in the show, he was part of the blip. Part of the
Oh, like he got snapped blipped. Yeah.
So he was gone during those 5 years, turned to dust. And so basically, here's what happened. So his backstory is pretty similar to what they give us in the show, where he's a doctor that was given the task of recreating the super soldier serum from the German scientist who created it in First Avenger, who gave Steve Rogers his powers. He was tasked with recreating it, and so the CIA gave him the DNA of one of their soldiers that showed components that were compatible with the super soldier serum. But Wilfred Nagel wanted a different way of doing it that didn't require any bulky machines or anything like that. He just wanted it to be one shot and you'd be perfect. And so that's what he does. Again, there's not too many differences between the show counterpart and the movie and the comics counterpart. The only real difference is that the movie counterpart that the show counterpart got snapped away. But other than that,
yeah, and weren't you saying
there's not too many differences.
And weren't you saying to me, like in our pre-show, the stuff that we don't record, and it's like, didn't you say like in the comics he was actually of a different name?
So there actually is a Wilfred Nagel in the comics, but the person I was thinking of is someone who works with the Power Broker. And so I think that they kind of combined Wilfred Nagel and that other doctor into one character.
Huh. Okay.
I think that's what they kind of did. Unless when we meet the Power Broker, we meet that other doctor. But who knows? That's just speculation at this point until the show finishes.
Gotcha. Alrighty then.
Yeah, so as of this moment, it looks like they might have combined those two characters, but who knows? So Wilfred Nagel is the one who made Isaiah the black super soldier back during the Korean War.
Okay, yeah, I was about to ask that, yeah.
However, the way that he talks about Isaiah doesn't make him seem like Isaiah was even a person, just a guinea pig used for experimentation.
I mean, that's pretty much like how scientists think of their test subjects, right?
Some of them.
Yeah.
I mean, every once in a while, you'll get a doctor with like an actual human side and be like, I'm sorry for what this may do to you. But when it comes to comic books and movies, it's always like, you're not a person. I'm just here to do torturous things.
The evil Dr. Scientist man.
So Wilfred Nagel eventually does tell them things after a little bit of intimidation using gunshots. And Nagel tells them, yes, I made 20 batches of the serum, but then I got snapped. When I came back, they were gone. That's basically all the information we get from the scene. Carly stole them, obviously. So as far as we know, there could be at most 20 super soldiers other than Bucky and Isaiah.
Roaming around on the Earth.
Roaming around, most likely part of the Flag Smashers.
That's okay.
So yeah.
So yeah, I like they described what the big credible threat of the show is.
Yes. One last piece of information that Nagel gives us is that the reason why Carly wanted it to begin with was because she was trying to save this woman who had tuberculosis.
Right, which I think they implies the
Spoiler alert. I'm just going to get it out of the way right now. The woman that we saw Carly crying over earlier in this episode is the woman that they are referencing here, and she does die. That's basically Carly's story in this episode summed up in one sentence.
Welp.
There's still one minor thing that happens with Carly later in the episode, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, it was like the very last. No, not the very last thing. I thought it was the very last thing of the episode, but that's.
It
not,
was like
that's not
second
correct.
to last.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, Zemo kills Nagel after finding a gun in his laboratory.
Yeah, which was kind of weird. I didn't understand why he did that or why he had to do that. Because he was just roaming around the lab and he's like feeling under the desk. Oh, a gun.
I feel like he was purposely looking for the gun, and I think the reason why he got rid of Nagel is because Zemo doesn't necessarily. Again, Zemo doesn't like the idea of symbols or icons or any form of like organized group. He just doesn't like them, and so I think the reason why he killed Nagel was because Nagel, again, is one of the only people in the world that had some form of a super soldier serum to be able to make more symbols.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes
and
sense.
so by getting rid of Nagel, it's erasing one more loose end that could potentially create more of those. So while it does seem like it comes out of nowhere, it does fit within his character.
Okay, yeah, that's a better description. Thank you for that.
So yeah, as soon as this happens, one of the bounty... meanwhile, while this has been happening, Sharon's been fighting off bounty hunters, being a badass.
Right, yeah, we kind of forgot to mention that.
And so Sharon's fighting off these bounty hunters. And then right after Zemo kills Nagel, before they can even like confront Zemo about killing Nagel...
Yeah, it was like a split second. It was like a split second between Zemo killing Nagel and then one of the bounty hunters RPGing the fucking lab.
Exactly. And then it explodes. And then because there's a lot of chemicals, the chemicals start to bubble and rumble and everything, and then it explodes again. And while I was watching this, I was just like, dead.
Dead. No way. Show's over, gang. Everyone's fucking dead.
Exactly. I was just like, after the RPG hit, I was like, okay, I can understand how that might be survivable. But then the second explosion hit, and I was just like, okay, if they're alive, they have to be like, at the very least, very like screwed up, like bruises, bleeding gashes in their body or something. But no, Sam walks out of that untouched, and I'm just like, you had one job, Marvel.
I know, right? Don't like the three of them just come out with like what, a bruise on their cheek or something?
Yeah, no, literally. Like Sam looks untouched. Zemo's able to flip around on crates being a badass, and the only one that seems believable to come out of that with hardly anything would be Bucky, because he is a super soldier. But I mean, Sam and Zemo, come on.
Well, Zemo like gets away, and then yeah, Sharon is just with them at that point, because I think like before the lab.
Yeah, now she's just like there.
And
then they get a barricade going. Like they're in a barricade with the rubble. Sam's like, this is like every action movie. You got to have a barricade. They argue about some more about where they should go. They eventually do get past all the bounty hunters by going through some other containers and stuff, trying to find Zemo. Zemo also looking through some containers while taking out some bad guys, finds a car, and then he drives it over to them. And they get in. Sharon doesn't go with them. Sharon decides to stay in Madripoor and just hang out there until Sam can get her that pardon.
She contacted some sort of consultant with her, and then she got in the car with her.
Yeah, no, that's like right after this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she does get in a vehicle, with her own personal like chauffeur. And she's like, I have something to discuss with you. Well, actually, many things we'll discuss in the car, things like that. And then they leave. We don't ever hear that discussion, which is probably because it's all stuff we've already seen or heard.
And there will be an episode 4.
Yes. Because the show still has 3 episodes left. So, so Zemo, Bucky, and Sam then drive away. Sam tells Bucky, "You're not gonna." Sam says, "You're not gonna move your seat up, are you?" And Bucky's like, "Nope."
Call back.
Yep. There are a lot of callbacks in this show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they drive away. I know that they have another plane scene, but I'm trying to remember if a Carly scene happens first or a U.S. agent scene or something.
Well, both actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, the Carly scene is what we've already. No, wait, we haven't discussed it. But okay. Which one do we want to discuss first? Because I don't remember which one comes first.
Yeah, I don't either. But it's really like short and simple. Like they both take up like a minute of the screen time.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna say let's just do U.S. agents first, because this will be the end of the U.S. agent portion of the show.
Yeah, and like we can literally sum this up in one line. Like U.S. agent
Basically.
and Battlestar learn about Zemo breakout.
Yep.
That's literally it.
Basically. And then they do they're about to do some off the book stuff. Again, setting up that John Walker isn't going to be a good guy.
Obviously. And then
Obvious. And then we get another Carly scene. This time Carly is outside of the refugee camp with there are some GRC guys outside. She's wearing her hood. Then one of her fellow flag smashers comes up to her, and they have a little discussion about what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. Basically, what they're planning is they're going to steal some supplies from this refugee camp to take with them. About 6 months worth of stuff. And they're basically talking about how Carly should grieve. She doesn't want to. They might as well just get it over with. And they also discuss what they would have been doing if they hadn't, like if everything would have just gone normally, you know?
like what kind of normal though?
Like if just life would have happened normally and there was no like snap or blip.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought you were referring to. Yeah.
So basically, Carly says that she wanted to be a teacher. The guy that she's talking to originally didn't really have a plan. He was thinking about the military, but then he found out that a Madripoor security guard pays better, so he did that.
Yeah, that's kind of lame.
Yeah, not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, no. So that's what they talk about. Again. Just some more character building, some flavor text, some sympathizing for our villains. Not really villains, but like antagonists.
Yeah.
Because they're not really bad. They're doing bad things for a cause that they think is good.
Well, yeah, I suppose so. But like if the here's my problem. I don't like it when like movies or TV shows or like any art form try to go out of their way to like make the audience sympathize with the bad guys. Or like this is their backstory, which means all their bad stuff is justified or some such nonsense. You know what I'm saying?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the like I guess sugarcoating of a villainous character. It's like you should sympathize with them. It's like, you know, it's their side of the story too. While that may be true, I feel like you're wanting me to like brush off their like neglectfulness and their bad stuff to like justify their means to the ends. You know?
Yeah.
It's a like a bunch of moral relativism that's pushed, like moral relativism means like there's no such thing as good or bad, so like you should just question everything or something like that. Yeah, I don't like it when shows do that. It's fine for like flavored text, but I think the sympathy part is where it gets me.
So yeah, we then get one final plane scene with our three guys, where they discuss where they're going to be going next, and like what the plan is from here. So Zemo's like, change course. We're going somewhere else. So they change course. We'll see where they get to eventually, but then it's our final Carly scene, and then we cut back to them. So I'm just gonna go through this Carly scene really quick.
Yep.
Basically, they steal the supplies, and then Carly blows them up. There you go. That's what happened.
Yeah, and the partner that she had with him just kind of like, I don't know, I kind of had this like moment of recognition on his face. Is like what Carly just did was a really bad thing. It's like a moral calling to him that he said, "You just blew a bunch of people up," and Carly's like, "Yeah, I know. What's your problem?"
Yeah, no, the reason that Carly gives for doing it is that she says it's the only language that they speak, and so she thinks that if they do something like terrible because they already think that they're terrible, then they'll finally get some form of then they'll finally get a message across. That's the reasoning that Carly gives, basically, of just like, hey, if they want us to do something terrible, if that's the way they get them to listen, then let's do something terrible.
Right. Yeah.
Meanwhile, her fellow Flag Smasher is like, yeah, but still,
still, it's again, it's going back to that moral relativistic kind of storytelling that they're doing. It's like that's kind of like the perverted way of looking at human nature, is thinking, yeah, they're doing bad stuff, but I can do bad stuff too because it's good in my opinion. It's stuff like that, you know. And like I'm glad that they like show this kind of side of the story. They present it like this, especially with the other Flag Smasher characters, like just, you know, having that sense of moral calling to say like what you're doing is objectively wrong by every moral measure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, art is good, gang. That's that's the moral of the story. Art is good.
So after Carly does that, we then cut back to our final scene of the show, of the episode, where we are now in, I don't even know where we are anymore.
Remember, Riga, Latvia. Because
that's right, Latvia.
I think this is where like all the characters right now, well, besides Agent and Battlestar, besides those two, are they like basically they're all kind of centered in Latvia right now because the Flag Smashers. That's where Carly's significant mother figure, I don't think is explicitly explained. That's where she died, and basically, I think Sam and Bucky and company got like the intel of the mother's name, and they're going to like, I guess, investigate what happened to her. I think that's what's happening. They never elaborate on it because they do a little side thing with Bucky here.
Yeah, which is this. Bucky decides he's going to go take a walk, and Sam's like, you okay? And he's like, yeah, just getting some fresh air. And he sees this little like metal ball on the ground. He picks it up, and he hears some ringing from another one that's not too far away, and he goes and he picks that one up too. He then walks into this little like alleyway of sorts and says, like holds up the balls and is like, hey, did you drop these? And he starts looking around. The camera's looking around with him. Then it pans back around, and we see, is it Okoye or is it just a Wakandan
No, this was somebody that had some, not as much significant screen time in Black Panther that Okoye did. No, this girl, like, they're all bald and black. What the hell do you expect? And they're female. Her name is Ayo, Ayo. She didn't get a lot of significant screen time in Black Panther, but I did recognize her.
Gotcha. So yeah, we see Ayo, and she speaks to she speaks to Bucky in Wakandan and is basically like, "Give me Zemo."
Right. That's the little like end cameo that the episode just ends off with.
Yep, and that was episode 3 of Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Woohoo! No politics this time, gang.
Woo!
Well, like there no like blatant propaganda politics this time, gang. Of course it's political. Everything's political, but not propaganda. But whatever. Complicated. It's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all complicated. But yes, I am really liking the show now, thanks to this episode. Coolio. But yeah, that was episode 3 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is the halfway point, guys. So we're already here. 3 weeks is like sooner than what you would expect, especially when back in our coverage of WandaVision, which you should go listen to, by the way, if you're subscribing to the channel. That one took like a while to get to the halfway point, and then finally to get to the very end of that show. But now we're finally here at the halfway point here, and wow, we only have 3 more weeks of this. So it feels like we just started, right, Bryan?
Right? It really does.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas with WandaVision, it's so like, episode 6 again, 7, 8. Come on, we're almost there. But yeah, it's very fascinating to be living like this, I suppose. Just how we're doing it. But I guess there's not really much to talk about, like for like the end of the episode.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
mean, this again, it's just the halfway point. It's not a mystery like WandaVision was, where we can really make predictions.
Right.
And all we can just do is like speculate some things. But even then, we pretty much discussed everything in our review of the episode.
Yeah, we pretty much did. Because like I think like we already like the big dock fight scene between the bounty hunters and the RPGs and all that. That was like the midway point boss, if we're speaking in video game language.
Basically.
Yeah, and so like now we have to like have a little bit more rising dialogue, and I forgot rising action rather. The rising action to get to the actual climax by the end of episode 6. And so yeah, I'm not sure what to expect, especially now that they've teased our Black Panther character into the whole story, which was not expected at all. It was like nowhere in the cast list did she ever appear until like yesterday after the episode was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's becoming a whole big, comic book character. Just like I throw you in, then I throw you in, and then I throw everybody else in too. It's kind of fascinating like that. So, yeah. So, yeah, not much else to talk about. Like episode 4, we'll just have to see where they elaborate with Ayo and see what the hell is up with Agent and Battlestar, and see where this Power Broker character leads us to. Because I think the story is very simplistic, and I think we're just fascinated on the implementation of the characters. That was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 3. We are at the halfway point of the series already. Wow, that is very, very fast. So, with that said, and there's not really much to predict either coming in the next few weeks. It's just we're just going to enjoy a story this time, as compared to WandaVision. So, with that said, thank you guys for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care.